Derrick Henry's catches, Michael Pittman's production, and is Mike Williams legit? Let's talk about it right now on Fantasy Football Today in 5. I'm Adam Azer. What's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday to you. If you're listening to this on Saturday morning, maybe you're watching it on YouTube, youtube.com/fantasyfootballtoday. So yeah, I'm Adam with Jacob Gibbs. And if you're watching, Jacob is not being lazy. He is recovering from a serious back injury. So he's just kind of chilling there, as you can see, but he's got great stuff for us today. All right. Derrick Henry, very involved in the passing game. What do you make of this so far?
It's interesting. I don't want to overreact to it because his route involvement, so the percentage of the total dropbacks on which he's running a route, is right in line with what we saw last year, right at 42%. So I don't want to overreact to it too much, but he is being targeted at a much, much higher rate than we've ever seen before. He's had a target per route run rate of 26% in each of the first 2 games, so there's some consistency there. And prior to that, he only had 1 game in his entire career with a rate of at least 26%. So like, that's, maybe something. It's just a 2-game sample size, and it is, a somewhat small route sample size. We don't want to overreact, but it is interesting. And I think we could see something similar in week 3 because they're playing a Colts defense that plays a ton of zone. And typically Tannehill and really all quarterbacks target the running back position a lot more heavily when they're facing zone schemes. I think Derrick Henry's target per route run rate has risen from 9% versus man coverage all the way up to 17% versus zone in his career. So we could see him, drop more targets again this week. And, then you have 3 weeks in a row of a high target per route run rate. It might be something. And if he gets those targets, he's RB1, right? CMC's down. Yeah. Like all of a sudden it's Derrick Henry. That's the only thing that's been missing. Yeah,
basically. Michael Pittman, he would tell me about this matchup this week against the Titans for Pittman, who hopefully will have Carson Wentz, but as we record this, we don't know.
Yeah. So on the other side of the ball, Pittman is coming off like by far the most impressive game of his young career. I was actually pretty discouraged by most of the data we had on him as a rookie. But last week was unlike anything we'd ever seen. He just smashed all of his career highs in terms of like volume and underlying data, and then also just like the production. It was just insanely good. It was the most impressive game against the Rams since 2019 by a non-slot receiver. Prior to this game, they hadn't given up more than 93 yards in a game to a receiver that was a perimeter receiver, and he just smashed that with 124. So everything we saw was really, really encouraging. And just real quick on the usage, he had a 35% target share, a 58% air yard share, and he had 50% of the targets in the red zone. So just super, super encouraging all around. Looked like clearly the number 1 receiver. And now he's going up against a much easier matchup here against Tennessee, who's just been exposed. Tyler Lockett went off against them last week, and then we saw Hopkins and Christian Kirk combined for 4 touchdowns week 1. And the Titans play a ton of man defense, which I think is going to be really good for Pittman. He's been much better against man coverage throughout his career. So just encouraged for sure by last week, and then also by the matchup this week.
Yeah, I just don't think I can trust him if Wentz is out.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, might just get kind of terrible. He'd have to go all Brandon Cooks on us, and
it's such a good spot though.
2/3 of the team's receiving production.
Yeah.
All right, Mike Williams. I'm loving what I'm seeing from him. He looks like he might be a legit breakout. Are you feeling that way? What are you seeing from Mike Williams?
Yeah, I was way too low on Mike Williams. This is super exciting the way he's being used here with Joe Lombardi as offensive coordinator. They've really changed his route tree, and we're seeing him be targeted at a much higher rate as a result. His average route depth is down from 10.8 yards last year to 7.9 this year, and his average depth of target is down from 14.5 yards to 9.3. So he's running shorter routes, and he's being targeted at a shorter distance. And because of this, like they're going to him much more often. His target per route run rate is up to 29%. It had never been above 17.5% any of his 4 years prior to this. So that's all really, really exciting. And then he also has a great matchup this week. Projected shootout against the Chiefs, who use a ton of man coverage and a ton of press coverage. And Mike Williams has been much better against both of those throughout his career. He's actually been the guy who Herbert has really leaned on when facing man coverage. His target per route run rate is almost as high as Keenan Allen's when facing man coverage, which is nuts. It's all the way up to 28% versus man. And I think he's averaged more yards per route run than Keenan Allen versus man coverage. So really exciting spot for him. I think he could definitely keep it rolling this week.
Mike Williams is a must start until further notice. Yeah. Okay, hopefully you'll be back out there soon. You're questionable with the back injury, but hopefully you'll be upright. I know you're making some progress, man. So enjoy your weekend. Thanks a lot, Jacob.
Thanks for having me on, man. Excited for my Chiefs to get back on track this week, hopefully.
Oh, well, they're going to have to score a lot of points because Mike Williams is going to tear them up.
That's right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening and watching the Fantasy Football Today in 5. We'll talk to you on Sunday with some injury news.